You it prevents your thought, thinking process. Is it right or wrong? Are you able to experience that? So sound is a technique. And someone used like this, a tool, so that you practice the tool, then over a period of time, this is not necessary. The tool is not necessary. It's like the way you're driving a car, right? Once you become an expert, you don't need skill to be reviewed. You just automatically it goes. So this is one of the tools by which I think you can practice meditation. So sound is it should be part and parcel of your meditative practices. The second one is a form. When we meditate, we think of someone, an object. Without object, it is difficult to focus. So the objectivity is another part of meditative process. So Christians may think of Jesus, the Mohammedans or Islamists, they will think about Muhammad, and Buddhists will think about Buddha. So when we think about a holy person or an object, right, our thought process is polarized towards the object. So again, the other thought doesn't come in because we are focusing on one particular object. So the particular focus drives you to concentrate on that, and you get a return power from the object that you are focusing. That's why in India and many places, there are a lot of idols. So I used to wonder, what is these people are worshipping idols, stones? So what does the stone is conveying? But then, when I philosophically try to understand that stone sitting there is not a real stone. It is an object that an individual visualizes as a person or a personality, and he draws an energy from that object. For him, the stone is not there. For him, the object he is able to see. If he calls Rama or Sita or Lakshmi or whatever it is, that he sees the object and draws the energy from the object. So there is nothing called right and wrong in practicing meditation. If you want to practice meditation, you use the sound. If you think object without focusing on an object, I cannot meditate, okay, do. But the form and the sound brings us the divine consciousness. So if you can merge the two together, the sound and the form, the divine consciousness automatically develops in us. So this is some fundamentals of meditation. So we can go a little more deeply because I'm not either a teacher or a guru or anybody. I'm only part. That's the meaning of the circle is we are all one. Probably I may be sharing some of my experiences. You may be wondering why I have brought this. This is one way I can very quickly, right, tell you what is meditation. Okay? I'm sure all of us would have been in line with the expression that I have made about the meditation, a new thinking. But when we meditate, like what Tony has been telling, think of somebody, think of an ill person, think of, this is a prayer, extension of a prayer. We pray to God, who is sitting in a heaven, and invoking him to do something to us, right? So when we connect an individual or a person or anything associated with our thought, it is not meditation. Even praying to God is not a meditation. It is contrary to meditation. So the meditation is just traveling inside your heart, deeply within you, which means the silence is the route to reach the practice of meditation. So I have prepared a couple of, for us, all of us to be well connected. I have prepared material. It's like distributing a textbook, but the reason why in schools the textbooks are distributed is the student will not try to open the second chapter when the first chapter is being discussed. Right? That's why the teachers trust the student, because no student would complete the whole book and then coming, oh, I have finished my book. Right? He has to take it over a period of 1 year to complete that one book. I'm only requesting that please don't turn to the last page, right? Page by page, we will discuss, share our thoughts together.
Want me to get them out?
Yeah, yes, yes.
So you don't have to do it. Okay. Yeah. This one.
Okay. I requested we need to bring in at least about 15 to 20 because I prepared only 20 sheets. And I told you that you must have a minimum of 15. And I'm really surprised she has done so wonderfully. There's more than 15. I think congratulations. Thank you very much for your arrangement. It gives a lot of joy. I think first time I'm able to see the whole.
We'll leave the rest on the front desk. We'll print on Friday, so you can give them out.
It's for a big number.
You two can share. These two can share.
Thank you, and those two can share.
Somebody watching Desert?
Yeah, maybe you can use this. It's the same decision, but it's in a very printed.
I'll give it back to you.
That's okay.
You showing?
After the introduction, the first page is I separated spirituality and meditation as two different subjects. Spirituality is different, meditation is different. This is what most of us are practicing. You take the fourth page, meditation course. How do they practice meditation? The first course says you should sit in meditation for 20 minutes every day, unless you're too busy. Then you should sit for an hour. Now, the sitting posture has a science behind it. When you don't understand it, most of us complain of some sort of a spinal cord problem. The spinal cord has got the nerves which stimulates the meditative processes. So if you can sit, sit, and then start meditating, I think the power that you generate, you are triggering the power channel from the lowest chakra to the upper chakra, and thereby the energy starts flowing. So you may find it maybe a bit difficult initially, but it is not a hard job. So the fundamental procedure of doing a meditation is better you sit on the floor, close your eyes, and then start meditating. I also brought in a Western thought on meditation where Voltaire, neither a religious or what you call him anyway, right? An atheist, whatever it is, what he says about meditation. The meditation is a dissolution of thoughts, an eternal awareness or pure consciousness. You know how many of us really understand this process. So he was able to see, he may talk outside so many things against the God, against the religion, against the faith, against the truth. But then he realizes himself that the meditation is a dissolution of thoughts. Because he was able to practice this, was able to produce some amazing, amazing truths to the world. His thoughts are so powerful because he knew the root, how to bring that powerful thought. Because he was practicing something different which he has not disclosed to the people. But in a quote like this, we are seeing his personality, right? He knows the secret, how to generate power in his words. And without objectification, knowing without thinking, merging finitude in infinity. So whenever we practice the meditation, we are always thinking about ourselves, our friends, our relatives, and all that. It is a finite moment. But then if you want to meditate, it goes to an infinity level. Infinity is boundless. So to reach boundless, you need to Forget about the finite material, the body, right? And the environment in and around us. So now we are coming to the first subject, which is spirituality. What is spirituality? Spirituality, the universality of truth, light, and bliss. If you can understand this, I think all the philosophies of the spirituality is well explained. Truth is fundamental. It is fundamental to theosophy. It is fundamental to all religion. But this truth is not the property of the world. It is the property of the cosmic or the divine or the God. So people, human beings, are unable to understand the truth because it is not the property of human beings. It is divine. So that's why the judges in any high court, any Supreme Courts, they don't speak truth. They bring logic, the rationality and the logic, good or bad, right or wrong. So the judgment always goes on a logical basis, not on a truthful basis. So the man who wins is the man who pays and then gets his judgment done, right? So it's not truth. But then that's how the world operates. But if you wanted to really become a spiritual person, you should know how to understand this truth or how to experience the truth. When you experience the truth in our life, there's a boundless joy that flows into us. The truth is the energy that only God can release or the divine power can release. So it is a fundamental quality of spirituality. And the light we call, even if you saw the chakras, you find a light around. So the light is divine. Darkness is not divine. So do we have a light around us? And I go to some of the astrologists, some of the mystics, this is Dr Noel, you have some halo on around your head, golden halo or golden color, blue color, ivory color. So they are able to see there's a color around our body. So we around us there is an etheric body. Right? We cannot see, but someone can see. Who practices the occult power, they can see. So what they see is the power, the light around us. So we are a light body. So if you are spiritual, we are a light body. When we go, there is an illumination that takes place. Right? It may not be visible, but other people, they see the light around us, which is an enlightenment. It is not, it may not be like the electricity power with the brilliance of light. But then there is a light around us. This body, which you can see as a physical body with the limbs and all, they disappear. There is a light around us. So that light reflects the spirituality in our life. So the more we practice meditation, the spirituality will come out automatically. So one form of expression is the light. And the third quality is the bliss. How many of us experiencing the bliss in our life? The bliss means it is joy. People used to say the mystic like Ramakrishna in India, he used to laugh for nothing. Laugh for nothing. If people ask, why are you laughing? I'm just laughing. Because his heart is filled with joy, happiness. Happiness for what? For nothing. He's happy. Right? He's joyful. So that is blissful. So these three factors, if you really try to, practice and trying to, move toward the direction, the truth and the bliss and the light, we become different compared to the people around us. So that is the real meaning of a spirituality. And it is a conscious necessity for God. Many people do not even believe or accept, oh, there is a God. It is something like, night, if you see the brilliant stars on the sky, there'll be moon, so you're able to see. So tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you see the sky, do you find stars there? Is there a moon? So there are no stars, no moon, but does it really mean there are no stars? Stars are there. It is always there. You cannot see. When the day comes, stars disappear. But the night comes, stars appear. So enlightenment is something like that. It is there. The truth is always there. Just because you see God is not there, does not mean that God is not there. He is there. If you have eyes to see, you can see. But that eye, how do you really try to bring it? It is not the physical eye. It is not the sensual eye. It is a deeper eye, an eye that comes from within you to see, and that light that comes from within you. So these are all the areas where you will be able to understand the spirituality. So the third aspect of spirituality is it enables us to realize that we all can be as great as God. What does that really mean? So if we are also like God, are we not special? Are we not divine? We are divine. There is no question about that. We are not other than divine. We are divine. But we don't acknowledge that. We don't believe that we are divine. We always believe that we are human. We are physical. But we are not just physical. We are also spiritual. If you study the anatomy, the physiology, and the functioning of the human body, you are like a frog. A frog has a dual life. It can live in the land. It can also live in the water. So it's called an amphibian. God uses such animals to tell us that you are a dual person. You are physical as a human, you are spiritual as a divine, right? So the whole process of evolution is how do you transcend from the physical nature to the spiritual nature, right? So the process of movement towards the spiritual nature and trying to purify your life and reaching there, I think that is where the real spirituality comes in. So it is a stage. So in Hindu culture or the Hindu literatures may say there is multiple births, multiple processes. You cannot purify your body or your mind and your soul in one birth. You may do something wrong here, but you need to purify and become perfect over a period of time. So you may have a multiple birth. Some of them also give some examples of some identities to showcase, yes, there is a process of multiple birth. I don't belong now. I belong to some ages, maybe to some philosophers, or maybe to some other family. But then if you go through the process of meditation, you can enter into the tunnel of understanding. You can go back to find out who you were, what you were, at least 2, 3, 4 births before. I tell you a very interesting experience in my life. When I was in India, in Chennai, I met one of the occult guy who can predict your past life regression. So I went to him and then I asked, I wanted to know who was my grandfather and what I was doing before. So he said, so can you take your thumb impression? I said, what the thumb impression is going to do? So I just gave my thumb impression. So he took my thumb impression and he asked me, sir, I tried to find your records. It's not possible immediately. So come after a week's time, I will tell you your past records. So believe me or not, I went after a week's time. He wrote in a notebook. He was closing his eyes and he was repeating what was my dad's name, my grandfather's name, where they were born, what they were doing, what I was doing, and where all I was traveling, the whole thing. When I connect all that, I was able to see they are not false expressions. They were my life. I was able to tell my dad's name without me telling anything about my dad, right? And my granddad, how he died. So there is a process available in the universe that whoever is practicing occult, they are not just magicians, or they are not doing something which we cannot understand. There is a process, but that process only a few practitioners will be able to understand that. But there is a belief system that we don't belong only to this birth. We belong to the previous birth. So we are not now, we were before, and we will be after. So the whole process. So that's why the death is not a threat. Right? Birth and death are the two synonymous things. It is just, you're born and you die. But your death is not your real death. It's again for another birth. So there's nothing to worry about the death. If you understand this, we live happily till we die. Right? Even the death is a pleasure, because we know we are going to another world of joyful experience. Right? We may not even know now what that will be, but there will be something after the death. Right? This is what some other people who have traveled and then come back and tell us how their experience after death, like the near-death experience, and a couple of other issues. It may look like a story, but in my life, my wife used to tell me, yes, I was able to see my body from above, and I was able to observe what it was doing. And again, I entered back into my body. And that was not a joke. It really happened. And I had to believe it because it was my wife telling when she was alive. So if you connect a couple of things like that, we understand the spirituality very clearly. So God is delight, finally. So what is this delight is? He said, God is light, God is truth, God is bliss, God is light. This is the Bible, Psalm 37, verse 4. It says, delight yourself in the Lord. Delight yourself in the Lord, and the Lord will grant all your desires. Is it not beautiful? So what is this delight? That delight is a joy. So if you are happy and joyful and make your inner man happy, that inner man gives you everything. You don't require somebody to finance you, somebody to help you, somebody to support you. You have another person inside you. That is the divine. That divine is able to understand you as you are. Your needs are understood. Your worries are understood. Your problems are understood by another person. So which we call God or a divine. That Jesus says, I knock, I stand outside the door and I am knocking. If you open the door, I will come in. So who is this coming in? It is the Spirit of God. So the Spirit of God is not all the time available. If you really merge with Him and practice all these wonderful spiritual qualities, the Spirit is always living with you. But it is so elusive, it will just let it get out of you the moment you go in a worldly way. So if you practice against the worldly pleasures, worldly ways, yes, the spirituality begins. Spiritual door gets opened up. So these two things you need to really understand how the spirituality really plays a significant role in everyone's life. And the key to spirituality is meditation. So what does the meditation do? When you start practicing meditation, the meditation simplifies our outer life and energizes our inner life. And it is a divine gift. Everybody cannot meditate, however we try, right? I won't say then it is a definite gift from God, but God chooses whether He can receive, He can really concentrate. When you concentrate too much on the worldly affairs, the pleasures and the activities in and around us, He knows very well that this man or woman cannot practice meditation because he's inviting everything to happen around. Right? So such person cannot meditate. He will be always thinking of something or doing something. He's very, very busy. That's what I'm able to see. My son here is here 21 years. I'm able to see busy all the time. Right from the morning till he goes to bed, always with the laptop, with the mobile, doing something or another. There is not time at all to sit down and relax. There is no time even for eating comfortably. There's no time for wife, time for children. So busy. But with such busyness, I think you can never experience spirituality. So spirituality is missing here because people are busy making money, making dollars, right? Working hard, doing this, that, all the activities. So the physical activities are a definite deterrent to spirituality. So one has to understand the division